Imagine this. You walk into the bank, cash in hand, only to be slammed with handcuffs for a crime you didn't even know you committed. This might sound like a plot twist from a Hollywood movie, but for LLC owners across the United States, it's a chilling possibility that could become a reality thanks to the Corporate Transparency Act. Now you might be asking, what's the Corporate Transparency Act? Well, it's a law that was enacted with the aim of shining a light on the ownership of LLCs. The law requires these companies to disclose their beneficial owners, the real people who own and control these businesses. The purpose behind this legislation is to prevent LLCs from being used as tools for money laundering, tax evasion, and other illegal activities. But here's where things get a bit tricky. While the intention behind the law is commendable, it puts a lot of LLC owners in a potential transparency trap. The Corporate Transparency Act doesn't just apply to those who are using LLCs for nefarious purposes. No, it applies to everyone. That means even if you're running a completely legitimate business, you're not exempted from this law. If you're an LLC owner, you're required to provide a list of your beneficial owners, along with their names, addresses, and other identifying information. And it's not a one-time thing. You're required to keep this information up to date and report any changes within a year. Now you might be thinking, I have nothing to hide, why should I worry? Well, even if you're as clean as a whistle, failing to comply with the requirements of the Corporate Transparency Act could land you in hot water. Think hefty fines that could burn a hole in your pocket, or in worst-case scenarios, even jail time. So it's not just about transparency, it's about staying on the right side of the law. And as an entrepreneur, this is one law you can't afford to ignore or take lightly. Welcome to the Corporate Transparency Act, the law that could land you in jail or cost you a fortune just for owning a business. Think you're safe. Think again. This isn't just another scare tactic, it's a wake-up call. The Corporate Transparency Act isn't selective, it applies to the majority of US LLCs, whether they're fresh off the press or have been around for years. The only exceptions, publicly traded companies and certain banks. So, what does the law want from you? Your name, your address, and yes, even your social security number. And it doesn't want it tomorrow or next week, it wants it now. If you've recently formed an LLC, you've got a grace period of 90 days to submit your information. But if your company is older, mark December 31st, 2024 on your calendar. That's your deadline. And if you think you can simply ignore it, think again. Non-compliance doesn't just lead to a slap on the wrist. We're talking fines that could rival the price of a small island. Miss it, and prepare for some hefty fines, like enough to buy a small island hefty. Now, the part that makes your palms sweat, getting caught playing hide and seek with your identity. Here's the thing about the Corporate Transparency Act. It has teeth. It's not just a slap on the wrist, a stern letter from a government official. It's the big leagues, and it's playing for keeps. Let's talk about the penalties for not complying with the CTA. We're not just talking about a light tap on the pocketbook. The fines can be staggering. Imagine being hit with a fine of up to $500,000. That's not chump change, that's a house, a dream vacation, a college education for your kids. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Did I mention the potential for jail time? Yes, you heard that right. Failure to report accurate information to FinCEN could land you behind bars for up to 2 years. That's 2 years away from your family, your business, your life. Think about what that would mean. Think about what you could lose. And it's not just about the initial reporting, it's about keeping that information up to date. If there are changes in your LLC, you need to report them. If you don't, you're looking at the same penalties. The CTA isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a constant, ongoing responsibility that you need to stay on top of. You might be thinking, I can fly under the radar, they won't catch me. But consider this, the CTA is backed by the full force of the US government. They have resources, they have technology, they have means to find out if you're not playing by the rules. And when they do, the consequences can be severe. So, don't play games with your business. Don't gamble with your future. The stakes are too high, the risks too great. The CTA is here and it's not going anywhere. Compliance isn't just smart, it's essential. This is no joke, folks. The CTA means business, and messing with it means trouble. Knowledge is power. Stay informed about the CTA's updates. This is the first step in navigating the Corporate Transparency Act. You see, the CTA isn't a static piece of legislation. It's a living, breathing document that changes and evolves over time. Updates are frequent, and keeping an eye on them is crucial. You wouldn't want to be caught off guard by a new requirement or deadline, would you? Next on your to-do list, prepare your information in advance. The CTA is a stickler for details. It wants to know everything about you. Your name, your address, your date of birth, your social security number. So don't wait until the last minute to gather all this information. Start now, save yourself the stress later. Speaking of stress, here's a word to the wise. Don't procrastinate. The CTA isn't a fan of latecomers. If you're a new LLC, you've got 90 days to file your report. If you're an existing LLC, the clock stops ticking on the last day of December 2024. Miss these deadlines and you're looking at a hefty fine or worse. Now I know what you're thinking. All this talk of deadlines and fines, it's enough to make your head spin. And that's okay. The CTA is complex and it's not always easy to wrap your head around. But here's the good news. You don't have to go it alone. If the legal jargon makes your brain spin, call a lawyer or accountant. They'll translate the CTA into plain English and keep you out of hot water. These professionals live and breathe this stuff. They can help you navigate the CTA, ensure you're in compliance, and save you a world of trouble down the line. So there you have it, folks. Navigating the CTA isn't a walk in the park, but with the right approach and the right help, you can do it. And remember, the goal here isn't just to avoid fines or jail time. It's to create a more transparent, trustworthy business environment, and that's something we can all get behind. Sure, the CTA feels intrusive, but think of it as building trust. At first glance, the Corporate Transparency Act, or CTA, might seem like an unwelcome invader into your private business affairs. It's natural to feel a tad uneasy about sharing your personal details like your name, address, and social security number. But let's flip the script and look at this from a different angle. Transparency in business is much like a pane of glass. Clear, honest, and allowing you to see right through it. This openness not only builds trust with your customers, but also with your business partners, investors, and even with regulatory bodies. By complying with the CTA, you're essentially telling the world that you have nothing to hide. That you're a responsible business owner who plays by the rules and values integrity. This transparency can become a powerful tool that helps enhance your business's reputation and credibility. But the benefits don't stop at just building trust and a positive image. Transparency can also deter any potential illicit activities. By laying out all the cards on the table, you're making it clear that your LLC isn't a convenient cover for any shady dealings, but a legitimate business that stands for honesty and ethical behavior. And let's not forget about the peace of mind that comes with compliance. With all your ducks in a row, you can sleep easier at night knowing that you're not at risk of hefty fines or worse, jail time. So while the CTA may require a little more paperwork and a bit of your time, the benefits are well worth it. Embrace transparency, not just as a legal requirement, but as a value that shapes your business. That's good for business, good for sleep, and good for avoiding orange jumpsuits. Don't let the Corporate Transparency Act turn your limited liability company into a legal landmine. This is not just a piece of legislation, it's a game changer, a seismic shift in the business landscape that could have serious implications for you and your enterprise. You owe it to yourself, your business, and your peace of mind to stay informed, to stay compliant, and to stay ahead of the curve. So, what can you do? Start by sharing this video with your fellow business owners. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's make sure everyone knows how to navigate this new landscape. Knowledge isn't just power, it's protection. It's the shield that keeps you safe from the unexpected shocks and surprises that can derail your dreams. And remember, this channel is here to help. So do us both a favor and hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more videos that keep you ahead of the legal curve.